Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating sermon by Syed Tanveer Hashmi. In a world that often feels totally fractured by division, this presentation explores how a 1,500-year-old message actually attempts to tackle today's deeply divided landscape. So, what on earth connects the very first human to India? And how exactly does an ancient message address the kind of hatred we see on the news today? Well, stick with us because we're tracing an absolutely incredible narrative. We're going to journey from the literal dawn of cosmic creation, land surprisingly in the Indian subcontinent, and ultimately end up looking at exactly how we treat the neighbors living right next door to us today. Section 1. The Light and Birth. The speaker kicks things off by drawing a really sharp contrast between the hatred we see globally right now and the theological origins of love. And this starts way before the physical birth of Prophet Muhammad. According to Hashmi, God first created the prophet's Nur, which translates to divine light. The celebration of his eventual human birth into the physical world, that's known as Milad-un-Nabi. The speaker emphasizes that this pre-existent light represents ultimate guidance. It's meant to cut right through the darkness and ignorance that, let's be honest, often plagues humanity. Now, here's where the timeline gets super interesting. There is this fascinating chronological alignment to all of this. The creation of the light, the physical birth, the declaration of prophethood, and the very first Quranic revelation, every single one of these monumental events happened on a Monday. Hashmi points out that this highly intentional alignment is exactly why fasting on a Monday is still such a deeply revered tradition for followers all around the world today. Section 2. The Indian Connection. Okay, so you might be wondering, how do these massive cosmic and Arabian events connect to South Asia? Well, the sermon draws a fascinating direct geographical link to Akhand Bharat, or undivided India. The speaker asserts that upon leaving heaven, Prophet Adam descended directly into this specific region. It was right here in India that the angel Jibreel arrived to assist him, where the first ever azan, the Islamic call to prayer, was recited, and where the very first discussion of the prophet's milad actually took place. Just imagine the sheer shock of that arrival. When Adam descended to earth, he experienced the darkness of night for the very first time. Having only ever known the eternal, radiant light of heaven, this unfamiliar, pitch-black earthly darkness caused him immense anxiety, complete panic. So, to cure this intense fear, God sent the angel Jibreel down. Jibreel recited the first azan, which immediately brought Adam peace. On top of that, Jibreel explained the significance of the divine light shining right on Adam's forehead, linking him directly to the final prophet and offering this profound sense of reassurance. Section 3. Universal Mercy in Action. Fast forward from ancient cosmic history to the prophet's actual lifetime, and we see a massive societal shift centering on his core title, Rahmatul Alamin, which means a mercy to all worlds. The speaker describes pre-Islamic Arabia as this really grim landscape, defined by swords, enmity, hatred, and just endless tribal warfare. But the post-Islamic era paradigm introduced by the prophet, it completely dismantled that. A society built entirely on vengeance was replaced by a brand new framework of brotherhood, compassion, unity, and unconditional love. It was a total 180. To show what this mercy looked like in everyday, practical terms, the sermon shares a deeply touching anecdote. In Medina, there was a woman whose mental state made her a complete social outcast. People actively avoided her because she would talk endlessly and erratically. But while walking through a busy street, the prophet stopped. He gave this marginalized woman his complete, undivided, patient attention. He genuinely listened to her, while the rest of society just walked on by. His companions actually tried to intervene, right? They tried to hurry him along. But the prophet offered this profound defense. He simply asked, "If I don't listen to her, then who will?" Hashmi uses this powerful moment to prove a point. True mercy isn't just some lofty theological concept. It means actively giving your time, your presence, and your dignity to those that society prefers to just completely ignore. Then there's this other amazing story, and it crosses religious lines. It focuses on a young Jewish boy who frequently hung around the prophet's gatherings. Without ever being asked, just out of the goodness of his heart, this youth expressed his deep respect simply by lovingly arranging the prophet's shoes outside the mosque day after day. Just a quiet, incredibly sweet act of devotion. Now, the depth of their connection becomes super clear when the boy suddenly stops showing up. Upon learning the youth was severely ill, the prophet didn't just send well wishes from afar. No way. He gathered his companions and physically went to the boy's deathbed. By entering the home of a perceived religious adversary, he modeled a radical empathy and compassion that deeply moved the boy's family and shattered the societal boundaries of the time.
Section 4. Fulfilling Human Rights.
So, what does this all mean for us today? The speaker builds to a really vital conclusion here, connecting these historical examples of radical mercy directly to our modern lives. The sermon issues a pretty strict warning by distinguishing between two types of rights. Hukukullah refers to the rights of God, things like praying and fasting, but hukuk ul ibad refers to the fundamental rights of people. The emphatic, absolute point here is that fulfilling your duties to God is essentially incomplete, useless even, if you are actively neglecting the rights of your fellow human beings. Look at how this breaks down in real life. The speaker directly challenges us with an actionable list. For parents, duty means deep respect, standing up for them, speaking softly. For neighbors, it literally means checking their health and sharing your food. For the broader community, it's about being the first to greet someone, responding to invitations, and showing up for funerals. Hashmi asks a really piercing question. How can we claim to follow a merciful prophet if we won't even respond to a neighbor's hello or check in on our own brothers and sisters? To really drive this standard of respect home, the speaker contrasts modern youth, who, let's face it, often sit casually on their phones while their parents are standing, with the prophet's own actions. When his wet nurse, Halima Sadiya, entered a room, the prophet would immediately stand up in profound reverence. He'd even take off his own cloak and lay it out for her to sit on, choosing to fiercely honor the woman who simply nursed him. I want to leave you with this one final, incredibly provocative thought from the explainer. The sermon emphasizes that true faith is measured by exactly how you treat the most vulnerable people around you. The message is crystal clear. If your neighbor sleeps hungry, you will be questioned. In our modern age, where we are hyper-digitally connected but often deeply physically isolated, ask yourself, who in your immediate community is sleeping hungry tonight? Thanks for learning with us, and keep seeking understanding.